So, hello again. This is part two of a conversation with Micky Metts from Agaric, a cooperative in Boston, Massachusetts, who's involved in developing the cooperative sector in the US and free and open source software. So, something I wanted to talk to you about. We're organising meetings and online discussions between people in the UK, at least, who are building sort of new economy institutions. They're building the new economy. And we had a face-to-face meeting in London in March. And there are more meetings coming up this year. We brought together people working in things like community energy, community-supported agriculture, worker co-ops, housing co-ops, transport co-ops. They're currently building a cooperative train line in the UK, plus platform co-ops, a platform cooperative alternative to Uber. People working in cooperative tech, mutual credit, and plus the CEO of the Permaculture Network was there, and plus people working with two potential tools to knit all this together to keep them decentralized, because the danger is that actually in the co-op world you just build giant institutions. For example, we built so every small town in the UK used to have its own little cooperative society. But if any of those societies started to struggle, the answer tended to be absorbed by another cooperative society, and so it grew into giant cooperative institutions. And there was a co-op bank in the UK, and it's still called the Cooperative Bank, even though it sort of stumbled and fell over, and it was immediately swallowed by a hedge fund. So it's absolutely not a cooperative bank anymore, and yet its name is the Cooperative Bank.
It's been co-opted. It's the co-opt,
The co-opted
not the
bank.
co-op. We've got to add that T in there.
Yeah.
That is a real danger.
Yeah.
And I don't think anyone is sure how to circumvent that yet. But I do know there's a lot of great minds working on it. The sociocracy method and the group Enspiral.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you're familiar with Enspiral.
Yeah, they produce Lumia, don't they?
Yes, and working with the ICA, they are putting their heads on that in a very good way. I really don't think I could speak to it. It's much too large. I know that Agaric, my cooperative, we do not want to be large. We want to stay at 12 members at the most, and we're halfway there now. We're in no rush to add. When I was at the International Summit of Cooperatives a few years ago in Quebec, one of the talks, or one of the themes of the conference, was growing your co-op. And there was, thankfully, some great resistance from the audience about growing for just to grow, just to look like we have more profits or to be bigger, is not what co-ops need to do.
Exactly.
Co-ops need to grow horizontally and and spin off other co-ops that are doing things that are ancillary to what they do.
Yeah, so how to federate co-ops rather than to grow them.
Exactly. So yes, the federated method is wonderful. In fact, Agaric runs a show and tell. We host it every Wednesday. It's mostly developers who stop in and do a video chat and share tips and tricks of things they've learned. And when there's no presentation, we open the conversation to cooperatives, people to speak about their cooperatives and how they are formed, how they work, how the internal workings are, how we get paid, how we choose work, and who does what. And it's been phenomenal learning how people are doing this all over the world. But a co-op called Ficus, F-I-Q-U-S, Coop, from Argentina, has come up with a federated way that they share their development work with other cooperatives all over the place. And it's really when you see it, it's like a no-brainer. It's like, why didn't I think of that? But they have laid out this whole method of how to share And I will put a link to that in also, because it's really, it's intuitive, but once you hear the beginnings of it, you'll go, oh, okay, I know where he's going. But it just makes it so simple for groups to share work, which has been a stumbling block for technology for a long time, sharing the work.
So, and we're talking with specialists in something called the viable system model in the UK, and they're telling us that that's a really important tool to keep cooperative networks, not just cooperative networks, but new economy networks, federated rather than consolidated into giant institutions.
Right. I'm putting a link in the chat right now to that. It's a short 15-minute video at the bottom of the blog that where Nicholas DeMarco of ficus.coop is explaining how they use the federation method to share work, and well worth the watch.
Thank you. Thank you. We're also going to start interviewing pairs of people who are working in different sectors of the new economy, and
very cool.
The aim of for them to find out as much as they can about each other's work and where there might be intersection.
That is a wonderful thing. Recently, I'm part of May 1st, as I mentioned, and with a bunch of other people, cooperatives, and just individuals, we've started a thing called the Radical Connections Network, which is a bridge between technologists and activists to get them talking about what is needed to be built, what is needed. Do you need training? Do you need help on the ground? Do you need something built before just rushing and building a website? That's not how to go about it.
Yeah. And we're also building the Open Credit Network, which is a UK sort of national mutual credit network, so a moneyless trading network in the UK.
Yes. Is that similar to the Bristol pound?
No, the Bristol pound is a local currency, so you need national currency to buy the Bristol pounds, and then they stay. The idea is for the Bristol pounds to stay in the local economy for longer, so you benefit the local economy. But mutual credit, it can't be bought with national currency. It's you trade. Everybody in the system gets an account. So
right.
when you sell something, you get credits in your account, and when you buy something, you get debits in your account. And everybody's account hovers around zero, and you have a limit to how far you can go into credit, and you have a limit to how far you can go into debit. You know what I mean? That's it really. You just trade on account. So there is no sort of national currency to be extracted.
That's very interesting. To remove the locality.
Yeah. So the idea is that you build local trading groups with businesses that get to know each other and trust each other, and then that would be nested into a regional network or a national network, which would then be nested in a global network. So we have. It was actually this book, The End of Money and the Future of Civilization, written by Thomas.
Excellent. The End of Money. That's a wonderful thing.
It's written by Thomas Greco. He's one of yours. He's an American.
Yes.
And, I read that book about 5 years ago, and I thought it was just fantastic. And also since then, one of ours, an English guy, Matthew Slater, wrote the Credit Commons white paper, which is a plan to nest and to network all these local mutual credit schemes into a giant sort of global credit commons, so that you can earn your credits in your local area, and you can spend them anywhere in the world. It sort of takes the banks out of the equation altogether. They're just not.
Yes, that does. Wow. That's similar, kind of, well, not similar, but I guess in the same vein of currencies. I belong to the Ujima Boston group, and we've recently started using Common Good. I don't know if you've heard of the Common Good community system of money or currency. I guess we shouldn't call it money, right? And yeah, it's very interesting. We're just starting it, so I can't give you any real feedback on it yet. But you can pay with your Common Good card. And the reason
What kind of what is a, I mean, what is common? Is it a local currency? Is it a crypto? Is it a?
it's a community-centered economic democratic currency. Yes. And it was started, I guess, in Western Mass, I believe. And wow, no, I guess I'm not sure where it started, but I'm glad it did. And Ujima, the Ujima group that I belong to in Boston, I've put a link in the chat. We are experimenting with using this currency in our group to revitalize an area of Boston that is kind of devastated. There are some really war-torn areas of Boston.
And so yeah, tell me again. I didn't quite get what. I had a phone call actually. I didn't quite get what kind of currency it was.
It's a token system.
Okay, and how do you get a token?
You join the group and you move money from your bank account into their currency container, and you can move money back out of it without any fees or any.
So it's like a local. It's more like a local currency.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So you're liaising between the U.S. Solidarity Economy Network and the U.S. Federation of Worker Cooperatives. Is that right?
Yes.
And so the Solidarity Economy Network is, well, it's just building the new economy, and the U.S. Federation of Worker Cooperatives is the national organization of what, 4,000 U.S. worker-owned companies.
Yes. Yes, and it's all still just forming. They're having their yearly meeting or event, I guess it is, a conference in Baltimore this year, the United States Federation of Worker-Owned Cooperatives. And they do a lot of things around getting us health care. Sometimes it's really hard for a cooperative to get health care for their workers because we're so small. I think it's under 9 people or under 10 people. It's hard to get a health insurance contract. So they do things like figure out things like that for us. Like, could we buy it in a group? If we put 3 or 4 cooperatives together on a plan, could they buy it? So they're a wonderful, wonderful group that we can bring issues to, and they will help us solve them, help us fly through this territory we've never been before.
Here's a tricky question for you.
Uh-oh.
Is the co-op sector a subset of the solidarity economy? And if it is, what else comprises the solidarity economy?
I think the solidarity economy is more of a, excuse me, a mindset and a framework as we put together the tools we need to be a self-sustaining community. So we're figuring out, first, it all goes hand in hand with decolonization. People are so colonized into this monetary system we have that it takes a lot of teaching to get their head up to look at another way of doing things. It's very ground in there. Money is the way, and the bank is the way. So working with things like credit unions, other ways to manage your money and to invest in your local community. So the Solidarity Economy Network, I think, is more of a teaching instrument. And also we're gathering the assets to be able to tell people, well, you can do this, that, and the other thing to, you know, get your community towards solidarity. And basically it's like a circular economy that will sustain your community. So it's an individualistic thing right now, and we're trying to get it into a big picture. And we do realize that decolonization has to come first, so that people are ready for the message and ready for sharing and not feeling threatened by, you know, money loss or whatever.
Do you, what do you think about this? I sort of see sole traders, self-employed people, as a bit like cooperatives of one, because they're democratic institutions and they're non-extractive by their very nature. And I just wondered what you thought about that.
Like a freelancer would be.
Or anything at all, a sole trader, somebody who works just for themselves.
Right, sole proprietor.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah. I guess they are. That I would agree with that. They're like a single person cooperative.
Yeah, it seems that way. I tend to think of them as part of the solidarity economy. But what happens if they start to grow? They start to take people on, and they start to, you know, they're a small local business, which is great. We like small local businesses, but it's the sort of difference between mutualism and distributism. I don't know whether you've come across this before, but distributism was about spreading power thinly throughout society. So that includes small businesses. But there's a real danger that you sort of become a nursery bed for small businesses that don't want to stay small. They want to become giant corporations. And, you know,
right.
Walmart was one shop once, and Starbucks was one coffee shop once. And so there's a danger that you're helping those people to actually become giant corporations, and then they put their branches back into communities and suck wealth out.
Yes, so now there's a Starbucks on every corner sucking wealth out of the community.
Yeah, and refusing to pay taxes properly.
Right, exactly, like the Amazons of the world.
Yeah.
It's unconscionable. I don't know that we have a weapon to beat that with yet. Or if we have a...
I don't know, but I mean, there's a very similar concept to distributism, which is mutualism. And mutualism doesn't include small businesses, small private businesses. Of course, you would use a local, small, independent business rather than a giant corporation. Of course you would, but they're not part of the movement, if you see what I mean. You're trying to build a movement which includes cooperatives and commons such as Wikipedia and free and open source software, and community land trusts and credit unions and mutuals and sole traders. But you sort of can't be in that federation if you employ people privately, because you are beginning the extraction process.
Exactly.
If that kind of an institution grows, then you become a giant extractive company, and you become, you know, an Amazon or a Starbucks of the future, which we don't want to support, really. I think that's possibly the most difficult question of, you know, who is in this? Who are we in this with?
Well, yeah, it's very problematic because so we've all been raised to take care of your own. You won't have enough if you spend too much. You have to take care of yourself first, which is true and is a tenet of cooperativism. But where does that end? Where does that self-care end? It ends when you have enough to be comfortable. And then the sharing begins. You can't share if you don't have enough and cripple yourself. But then to keep it going, like to have a Starbucks on every corner, to me that seems like modern day mania, where you never can have enough. those people, I don't think if there was a perfect world, they probably would never have enough. They're so indoctrinated into the scarcity mode. I think corporations do a huge disservice by spreading the scarcity
Yeah.
message
Yeah.
that you will be left out, you will not have if you don't join us in this giant corporate bubble.
Well, it was very interesting that you said that the same attitude was present at a sort of a cooperative gathering. You know, you see the aim is to grow your cooperative.
Yes.
It's like, well, why? We're very happy
Yeah.
doing what we're doing. We enjoy our work. We're providing useful services to our community. Why would that be any better if we were twice the size? We can grow the sector. Growing the sector is something different. That's not the same kind of growth. That's just you keep the same size of economy and you just basically cooperativize it.
True.
So you're not increasing the overall size of the economy. All you're doing is making the economy just better for people, really.